Thank you, Greg. You're most generous, and it's good to be here with you. It's also good to see my colleague, Barbara Burke, who's here. She is the person who runs our economic development team in Massachusetts, and we are very anxious to be partners with Starbak and with other great companies. I would note that it's not every day that you can see deja vu right here while you're speaking, and then, of course, as Yogi Berra would say, deja vu all over again back there. So it's a thrill to be here with you. And there's a bit of deja vu for me in that I've, over the last several days, had the chance to welcome a number of enterprises to Massachusetts. I think it was yesterday or the day before, we welcomed a company that's employing some 400 people called Silverline. They're moving to Fall River, Massachusetts. Not long before that, Barbara and I were with the folks at Cisco Systems who are expanding their campus here in Massachusetts, and will be bringing in additional employees to this area over the coming months and years. And the kinds of things that Greg indicated are the things which are attracting enterprise to Massachusetts. And that is that we have a knowledgeable workforce. Now, you folks came from Ohio State and other great places in Ohio. We're happy that you've increased the knowledge power of our own state, but recognize that you're going to find people here who've been trained in other institutions as well that will continue to fuel the growth in technology and capability that you have. Ohio has some great universities. We just happen to have even more universities. I'm not going to talk about the relative merits. I don't want to get into a boo contest. But we have some 130 different colleges and universities in Massachusetts, and their a great variety of skills will be able to propel the organization, and I believe bring a degree of technical diversity that you'll find to be valuable. And you'll also find some great customers. The kinds of products you have, which are helping colleges and universities teach people on a distributed basis, and not just in the classroom, but on a remote basis. These kinds of products are really what I think the future of education depends upon. Our ability to teach not in the old classic setting, which is very expensive, costs people opportunity costs to get out of their home and spend years on a campus, but instead allowing people to learn in their home, in their office. That's the future. And so Starbak really represents a step in the future, not just as an employer, but as the provider of a product line which will help these 130 colleges and universities in Massachusetts take their product on a broader scale. I'd also note that you talk about the fact that there are customers here that are important to you, and I would anticipate that's the case. Route 128 in Waltham has been a place known for technology for a long time, and you're going to find that more and more of your customers are doing business here, and the interconnection between you and your customers, and even between you and competitors, as you found out with a company that was already here that you acquired, I guess in December, you bought what could have been considered a competitor, made them part of the team. These kind of synergistic relationships will allow Starbak, I believe, to propel its growth even further. Greg mentioned capital. We have a lot of venture capital companies here. Massachusetts puts more money to work in venture capital per person than any state in America. There's some unusual things, a great concentration of higher education institutions. Half of all the country's Nobel Prize laureates live in Massachusetts, and venture capital. We have a lot of it. We're happy that we have it. I'm delighted that two of the firms of the three all have bases here in Massachusetts, and we will continue to watch. Hopefully your growing revenues and positive cash flow from operations will mean that you don't need too much venture capital. They always want too much of your company. So keep as much of it as you can to get as high a valuation as you possibly can. I'd let you know that we generally have better weather than this. Don't expect a spring like this all the time, but the rain isn't all bad. One of my favorite stories is about a Senator Ashurst in his first speech to the Senate when Arizona was named a state in the Union. His first speech, his inaugural event, began with something like this: Arizona is going to be a great state in the nation. It's a paradise, can be a paradise. All it needs is more good people and more water. At which point someone from New England stood up and said, that's all they need in hell. And we are fortunate to have lots of good people like yourselves and like others that come from our educational institutions and other great employers here that form a high technology cluster. And as you've seen this spring, we have plenty of water as well. The combination will do well for our state and for you. It's great to be part of the team. We want to work closely with you and send a very strong message to employers across the country and employers here. We're here to do business. Massachusetts is a state that loves employers, wants you to be successful. We'll do everything we can to make sure that we keep your tax burden fair and predictable, that we keep the cost of doing business competitive, that we keep the cost of living in line. And we have some work to do in our housing prices, as you're, I'm sure, finding out. We've got to find a way to bring those prices down. We want to work hard with you to make this a place that employers find attractive to grow and invest, because we know that's the best way we can provide for great schools, for great hospitals. We can provide the kind of support we want for our elderly and disabled and those that are disadvantaged. All of these things work together as a system. You're a critical part of it. You may wonder, gee, why does the governor come out? We've only got 40 or 50 people employed here right now. Well, you're going to have hundreds in the future, I predict. And more importantly, I want to send a message. What you're doing is the key to the future of many, many, many people in our state. Not only to Waltham and to this part of our state, but to the entire state. Employers, they're the key to our future, the key to our success. Thank you, and best of luck to you. And I think it's now time to see